Thanks for joining us today, Steve. Happy to have you here with us in Singapore. But first up, so what do you think Apple needs to do to turn things around in important emerging markets like China, where it's got a tiny market share?
I think prior CEOs of Apple could probably comment better on that. And their answers would be something along the lines of, well, mine would be understand the market very much as a user there. Listen to some important users, study their habits, their needs, and cater a special product for that part of the world, which isn't normal for Apple. But I'm kind of guessing. I'm not more the businessman. I'm more the technologist. And I think the technology try to put out products that have a lot more openness and new ideas and expansions. Let the given market that's already there, let them create an awful lot of the world and the experience with their own apps.
So basically, we've heard rumors or confirmed rumors that the cheaper iPhone or the gold iPhone will be coming out. Does that risk cheapening Apple's brand to your mind?
Normally, Apple doesn't go down and hit the cheap end, although we always have a range of prices of things like laptops or desktop computers or workstations. I don't think it does. I'd like to see the product. You know what? The product can look excellent, like a beautiful jeweled gem. I actually feel good about some products even that are maybe less expensive to build because they're plastic. There isn't a huge range that you can go in what you've got to build into the smartphone to begin with. Okay, if we give up a little bit of performance characteristic, we can buy a slightly less expensive processor. And if we don't handle every network of the world on cellular, we can have a slightly less. There are very few of those kind of trade-offs, so you can't save night and day on the cost of building a phone.
Okay, but having said that, if you buy into Apple's cheaper strategy, do you think that would, cannibalize it or eat into its margins or performance?
I've never seen that to be an example. I think sometimes Apple wants to take a product and make it deliberately less expensive, but at a lower profit margin. And yes, that definitely can cut into your existing products. We're talking about markets. I think you suggested markets where Apple's not the predominant player. In a lot of countries of the world, the iPhone really is the predominant brand, and it would be much more unhealthy to introduce it, for example, in the United States.
Going back to China, so if it does go cheap, if Apple does go cheap, what then becomes the next biggest threat for Apple in China?
I have a feeling that we haven't cracked the Chinese market as fully as we could, as there is promise for, partly because there are a lot of local companies in China that design and build smartphones, and they're able to, and close to China, and understand the market needs a little better and have a lot of the marketing prowess. For example, if you've got retail stores and methods of doing business in China, and you're already there with a lot of products, you have a huge advantage to bring in one more, your brand of smartphone. So it's more difficult for Apple coming from our faraway part of the world to do that. As far as actually cracking it, yeah, I think it's going to take an awful lot of working, probably with domestic partners. In some cases, there's a rare, it's almost treasonous to say, idea. You build a totally different product than your iPhone even, and you just allow it to be sold under your marksmanship, your name, your mark, your brand, and you inspect to make sure it is a quality product and meets the Apple standards for quality. But it might have totally different features and work in a different way that's closer to the native markets that come from a culture slightly different than ours.
What would you say about strategy? Like if you were to counsel Tim Cook right now, how would you counsel him to stay competitive?
I wouldn't dare, because I have a feeling that the comeback would be more like a fight, and I really don't like that. I'm really a non-conflict type of person. I would, if I said, what do I want? I can talk about what I want. And I want my wearable devices that are, basically as complete as my iPhone in their functionality. And I want larger screens on iPhones. And I want, I don't know, and I want some of the features that our competitors have that are maybe even better than the way we do things. I would like to modify the iPhone a little in those ways. But pretty much it boils down to just features of what the phone does. I would also want to have some dreamers thinking out how could our world be very different with product that you wouldn't even call a phone.